ko nakarengane mu cyerekezo 2050. Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM.
We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
You are listening to Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. Educational institutions say integrating technology into their operations has been beneficial. Environmental experts have recommended thorough investigation into why Nyabarongo River continues to be polluted despite billions of monies that have been invested in its conservation and protection. On the international scene, the Mozambican Female Force Policing has launched a campaign designed to educate women in a remote region of central Mozambique about gender-based violence through drama. Welcome back. News in detail. Educational institutions say integrating technology into their operations has been beneficial. Participants of the World Telecommunications Conference visited educational facilities in Bugesera district and provided broadband network for them to conduct their teaching effectively. In the Nyagihunika school, one of the schools the delegation visited in Bugesera district, teachers conduct classes with the help of technology rather than writing on the board. The school has a broadband internet speed of between 25 and 150 megabytes per second and has been provided with computers that help in planning and delivering lessons, which the institution's head says has been instrumental in improving the quality of education. This is one of the schools being facilitated through the JIGA project, which is aimed at integrating technological development. The state minister in the Ministry of Education says the program initially started with 63 schools.
Under this pilot, we have connected 63 schools. Most of them are here in Bugesera, and this school is one of them. So this visit was for the partners to come here and see what we have been doing as part of that pilot. So under this pilot, each school gets connectivity. Each school is connected to the internet and provides learning devices to teachers and students. And after this pilot, we are looking for different ways to take the same to as many schools as possible.
This initiative to provide broadband to schools is being put into action by UNICEF in collaboration with the International Telecommunications Union. The Deputy Executive Director of UNICEF, Fayaz King, says that in the last 3 years, 1.3 million schools worldwide have been provided access to broadband to aid the education process.
And we would like to connect every school in the world to the internet. So far, in the 3 years that the GIGA project has been running, we've been able to map 1.3 million schools. And we are in a number of countries where we're doing that, and we're making significant progress here in Rwanda. We've mapped all the schools. We're running a pilot in 63 different schools and understanding all the unique aspects and challenges with each particular school. And from there, we'll learn and we'll roll out into more. So the results we're seeing are very, very encouraging. So we're excited to be partnering with Rwanda Ministry of Education, with the Rwanda government, and all our other partners involved in this project. So we're in for some very exciting times. The future future looks very, very bright.
The pandemic prompted the school closure that negatively affected about 1.6 billion students worldwide, considering 31% of them were not able to progress with their studies because they did not have access to technology. ITU's regional manager maintains the view that technology plays a significant role in availing education to students.
Connectivity allows for school to find them at home, for school to come to them where they are, and also in the process, funny enough, one of the things that we're doing is that it's also helping parents to get in the process of the learning and to find ways of making sure that their kids can go to school when regular school, because of things like pandemics, cannot take place.
Most schools in Rwanda are within 30 kilometers of the broadband network, with only 43% of them lacking internet access. However, the distribution process continues. 216 members of Rwanda Youth Volunteers from Northern Province have completed a week-long civic education course at the police training school in Gishari, Rwamagana district. The training harnesses their understanding of national values, including patriotism, sacrifice, heroism, and love for work. The youth were also taught on their role in tackling issues related to the well-being of the people in their villages, community, policing, cultural values, job creation and innovations, setting goals, technology and communication. Manzi Prince has this report.
The training was officially closed by the Inspector General of Police, IGP Dan Munyuza, and the Governor of the Northern Province, Dansira Nyirarugero. IGP Munyuza reminded the youth their community policing duty to fight and prevent crimes. He urged especially those from the borderline districts of Gicumbi, Burera and Musanze to put efforts against cross-border crimes such as smuggling and drug trafficking. Youth are young, energetic, educated, and youth have the ability and good ideas that your government will listen to and value. Governor Nyirarugero thanked youth volunteers for their commitment to contribute to community development. He said, "We urge you to help the Northern Province to improve its performance contract in all sectors of development and security." There are about 500 members of Rwanda Youth Volunteers in community policing across the country.
Moving to environment matters, environmental experts have recommended thorough investigation into why Nyabarongo River continues to be polluted despite billions of monies that have been invested in its conservation and protection. This comes after President Paul Kagame recently grilled officials in charge of the environment over increasing pollution in Nyabarongo River. Nyabarongo is the longest river in Rwanda, part of the upper headwaters of the Nile. It turns into Akagera River, which eventually flows into Lake Victoria and forms the Nile River. The river accommodates biodiversity and supplies water for hydropower production, clean water supply, as well as irrigation, among other purposes. Josephat Kanyeshuri, a researcher and lecturer in environmental studies, said soil erosion is currently the major contribution to pollution in Nyabarongo River, despite billions of investments invested in protecting the river. Currently, at least 11% of the territory is at extremely high risk of soil erosion, which ends up washing away fertile soil in the river, triggering pollution. He said there have been many projects to control soil erosion and conserve the river, but there is lack of proper monitoring to ensure implementation of the existing projects is successful and ownership among citizens. He noted that while soil is the primary resource for the country's population, the government budget should be increased in areas that are vulnerable and in catchments for Nyabarongo River. Recent studies show that the total annual estimated soil loss was 409 million tons, with a mean erosion rate of 490 tons per hectare, polluting Nyabarongo River. New research carried out from April to October 2021 also found that the absence of soil erosion control measures accounts for 24.4% of the factors that pollute the Nyabarongo River. Kanyeshuri said the soil erosion is affecting all districts in the river's catchment. Terraces need to be well scaled up and educate farmers on how to adopt affordable techniques. The tributaries that flow into Nyabarongo River also need to be conserved. They have to increase forestry in the catchment and buffer zones. Remy Norbert Duhuze, the Water Monitoring and Quality Control Division Manager at Rwanda Water Resources Board, said there are interventions in place mainly focusing on catchment restoration and protecting initiatives. There are projects that are specifically intervening in the Upper Nyabarongo catchment. Specific actions include terracing, agroforestry, afforestation, creating soil erosion control trenches, riverbanks protection, and water harvesting, among others. However, he said these only cannot totally solve the problem. There is need for enhanced efforts by landowners and all those with activities likely to cause erosion. Thus, the initiated countrywide erosion control campaign needs to be adopted by everyone and sustained. According to the Auditor General report and Member of Parliament, Nyabarongo River Buffer Zone is being encroached. Mary Alice Uwera Kayumba, the chairperson of the committee, said no activity is allowed within 50 meters from water bodies' shores. However, during the assessment, it was revealed that many activities have encroached within 50 meters in buffer zones of Lakes Kivu and Muhazi shores, as well as 10 meters from shores of rivers Nyabarongo and Sebeya, among other water bodies. The Rwanda Red Cross has received 2 new ambulances from its counterpart, Qatar Red Crescent, to boost emergency healthcare services. This happened during a handover ceremony that was attended by the Qatar ambassador to Rwanda, Misfa bin Faisal Mubarak, and the Red Cross head of communication, fundraising and humanitarian diplomacy department, Emmanuel Mazimaka. Manzi Prince with this report.
Ambassador Al-Ajab Al-Ashwan, who delivered the ambulances on behalf of the organization, said they are looking at the humanity value around the world and Rwandan people deserve a lot. The ambassador said they look forward for further areas of cooperation between both countries. Rwanda and Qatar enjoy strong partnerships cutting across different sectors of development in the recent past years. The partnership between the two countries extends to business opportunities that people can benefit from both markets through an agreement signed between Qatar Financial Center and Rwanda Financial Limited in September last year. The cooperation promotes skills development through training programs, facilitates the creation of a community between the fintech ecosystems, and continuous improvement in the financial landscape, among others.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
The Mozambican Female Force Policing has launched a campaign designed to educate women in a remote region of central Mozambique about gender-based violence through drama. The project seeks to change perceptions in a country where half of all women are married before they are 18, and according to UN figures, more than 1 woman in 5 has suffered violence. The sense of helplessness among victims is pervasive for the few ever filed charges. In 2009, a law was introduced to punish violence against women, but implementation has been slow, especially in remote areas. Every one of these trainees enrolled in the scheme in Manene village in Manica district said they had been attacked. The project is part of an effort by the community to change things using a mix of verbal dissuasion and awareness program backed by the power of the law. Since 2011, a civilian policing unit made up entirely of women, originally set up to search female suspects and, if necessary, arrest them. It is empowered to arrest offenders in violence against women and detain them while waiting for police to arrive from the nearest town. But the team's main approach is to talk and dial down the confrontation, and they say they are having impressive results. Some people in Guinea-Bissau say they are being discriminated against as employers in the country are publishing job adverts in French or English to the detriment of Portuguese speakers. Portuguese is Guinea-Bissau's official language, but the country is bordered by English-speaking Gambia to the north and French-speaking Guinea and Senegal. According to data from the Camus Institute, spoken on 5 continents, Portuguese is the 4th most spoken language in the world, with 261 million speakers. However, over the years, the popularity of the French language has grown in this former Portuguese colony, Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is the only Portuguese-speaking enclave in West Africa where French and English dominate. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said he was the victim of dirty tricks in a damaging burglary scandal as the rowdy opposition echoed him in parliament. This comes after last week Ramaphosa was accused of bribing burglars to keep quiet about a February 2020 heist at his farmhouse, where they stole cash worth some $4 million. Ramaphosa has acknowledged the burglary but disputes the amount of money involved and says the cash came from legitimate sales of game at his farm. He denies the alleged kidnapping and bribery, saying he reported the burglary to the police after he had learned of it. Ramaphosa will face party members at a conference in December, during which he could be ousted from the top job by the ruling African National Congress. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has demanded Greece to stop arming Aegean Sea islands that have non-military status and abide by international agreements, in remarks that could inflame long-standing disagreements between the two countries. Turkey alleges Greece has been building a military presence on Aegean islands, many of which lie close to Turkey's coast, in violation of treaties that determine they must remain unarmed. It argues the islands were ceded to Greece on the condition that they be kept demilitarized. For its part, Greece claims Turkey has deliberately misinterpreted the treaties regarding armed forces on its eastern islands and says it has legal grounds to defend itself in the face of what it describes as hostile actions by Ankara. United States President Joe Biden kicked off the regional summit of the Americas in Los Angeles by announcing a proposed new economic partnership with Latin America and the Caribbean aimed at countering China's growing clout. Hosting the summit, Biden sought to assure the assembled leaders about his administration's commitment to the region, despite nagging concerns that the U.S. at times is still trying to dictate to its poor southern neighbors. The lineup of visiting heads of states and governments in attendance was thinned down to 21 after Biden excluded Cuba, Venezuela and Nicaragua, prompting Mexican president and several other leaders to stay away in protests. President Biden said countries in the Americas have to invest in making sure their trade is sustainable and responsible in creating supply chains that are more resilient, more secure, and more sustainable. Biden is seeking to present Latin American and Caribbean countries with an alternative to China that calls for increased U.S. economic engagement, including more investment and building on existing trade deals. Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi. Now, the Rwanda Stock Exchange Market Report. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 4,131,200 Rwandan francs from 17,600 shares traded in 2 deals on the equities market, while the fixed income market remained quiet. Bank of Kigali closed the counter at 265 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 4,028,000 from 15,200 shares traded in 1 deal. I&M Bank closed the counter at 43 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 103,200 Rwandan francs from 2,400 shares traded in 1 deal. Bralirwa closed the counter at 160 Rwandan francs, Simirwa at 120, MTN Rwanda at 178, Equity Bank at 440, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370, National Media Group at 1,200, Uchumi Supermarket at 104, and RH Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. The currency market review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.6 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 8.8. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43, and the selling price was 0.44. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.271, and the selling price was 0.276. Burundian franc buying price was 0.49, and the selling price was 0.5. The US dollar buying price was 1,012, and the selling price was 1,032. The British pound buying price was 1,270, and the selling price was 1,295. The euro buying price was 1,086, and the selling price was 1,108 Rwandan francs. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition with me, Fiona Umuganwa.